Cipher Mining, trading under the ticker CIFR, closed the final session of the week on Friday at $20.36, finishing the day up $1.20, or 6.29%. This close capped off one of the strongest two-week stretches the company has had since announcing its long-term hosting agreements earlier in November. The stock has now held above the $20 level, a price range that previously acted as resistance, and the move sets the stage for what could become a significant moment as the market prepares to enter the first trading week of December. Over the past month, Cipher Mining has shifted from being a company known primarily for Bitcoin mining to a company increasingly discussed within the context of AI infrastructure, hyperscale hosting, and long-term compute capacity. This transition has reshaped investor expectations and placed the company into a new narrative that is gaining momentum heading into December. The foundation of this shift came from two major hosting agreements disclosed earlier in the month. The first was the 15-year high-density compute lease agreement with Amazon Web Services, valued at approximately $5.5 billion. This agreement was a transformational development for Cipher Mining, both in scale and in the length of its contractual commitment. The second agreement came shortly afterward, when Cipher signed a 10-year hosting contract with Fluidstack. That agreement involved approximately 39 megawatts of critical IT load at the Barber Lake facility and carried an initial value of $830 million, with extension options that could bring the total to nearly $2 billion. These two agreements alone introduced a pipeline of revenue and infrastructure obligations that extend well beyond the company's previous business model. In addition to these agreements, Google increased its financial support for obligations tied to the Fluidstack arrangement. Google's involvement does not represent an operational partnership with Cipher Mining directly, but it does create a connection between Google and the financial structure supporting the Barber Lake hosting environment. This placed three globally recognized technology companies into Cipher Mining's orbit, either through long-term agreements or financial exposure. The market has been processing the implications of these developments throughout November, and the impact on the stock has been noticeable as investors re-evaluated the company's role in the AI infrastructure landscape. The past week included a strong Wednesday session, during which Cipher Mining closed up more than 9% at $19.15, followed by the Thanksgiving market closure on Thursday. Friday then became the first opportunity for traders to respond after the holiday, and the stock continued its upward trajectory toward the $20 range. With Friday's close at $20.36, Cipher now enters the weekend at a level that reflects both renewed optimism and lingering questions about how the market will respond in the coming week. December often brings a shift in market behavior, particularly among high-growth, high-beta equities. Funds reposition near the end of the year, sector rotations accelerate, and stocks that have undergone significant re-rating stories begin to attract attention from algorithmic traders, institutional desks, and retail investors preparing for the new quarter. Cipher Mining appears to be entering December with a combination of contract-driven catalysts, sector momentum, and speculative interest that could influence trading during the coming month. The idea of a December breakout reflects the possibility that the market may begin pricing in the company's long-term hosting pipeline more aggressively. Momentum in the AI infrastructure sector remains strong. NVIDIA's earnings earlier in November reinforced the theme that demand for AI compute continues to exceed supply. Hyperscale data centers, high-density power, and land suitable for expansion have become scarce and increasingly valuable. Companies with the ability to deploy large amounts of compute capacity have seen heightened interest. Cipher Mining's strategic positioning within Texas, combined with its access to land, power infrastructure, and high-density hosting capability, has aligned it with an emerging supercycle in AI development. The company's transition away from a Bitcoin mining-centric identity toward an AI infrastructure-focused model has further fueled this narrative. The speculation that surfaced during the week regarding potential acquisition interest also contributed to the atmosphere surrounding the stock. A social media post by Mike Alfred suggested that Cipher Mining could become attractive to companies such as Google due to its long-term hosting potential and its current valuation relative to the assets it is building. Alfred stated that he preferred the company to remain independent but acknowledged that he would not be surprised if an acquisition attempt occurred before the valuation increased significantly. This was not based on any confirmed discussions or announcements, but the idea entered the market at a moment when Cipher Mining's broader profile was rising. Speculative commentary can have a notable impact on sentiment in high-volatility stocks, and this post became part of the narrative that traders considered heading into the holiday break. With Friday now complete and the stock closing at $20.36, attention shifts to the week beginning December 1st. The question facing investors is whether the market continues to reprice Cipher Mining based on its hosting agreements, infrastructure development, and potential long-term earnings. If December begins with strong volume, CIFR could enter a new phase of price discovery, particularly if traders begin positioning ahead of anticipated updates regarding construction progress, financial developments, or additional hosting capacity announcements. The $20 level may become an important reference point in determining whether the stock attempts to break higher or consolidate within a new trading range. The Barber Lake and Colchis facilities remain central to Cipher Mining's long-term strategy. The AWS and Fluidstack agreements depend on the construction and deployment of high-density compute infrastructure at these locations. Development continues, financed in part by the company's issuance of senior secured notes totaling approximately $1.4 billion. These funds support the ongoing build-out required to activate contracted hosting capacity. Investors will be watching for updates relating to construction timelines, power activation schedules, equipment delivery, and regulatory milestones. Such updates often act as catalysts during the early stages of a company's infrastructure cycle. December also brings an increase in analyst activity. Firms that have not yet updated their models to incorporate Cipher's new hosting agreements may begin to reevaluate their valuations based on the scale of the company's long-term commitments. Many analysts do not currently have estimates that reflect multi-year, multi-billion-dollar agreements tied to AI hosting. If updates occur during the month, the stock could experience additional momentum as new projections are released. Institutional investors often adjust their positions following analyst revisions, and December is historically a period of increased recalibration. The broader AI sector will also play a role in shaping Cipher Mining's early December performance. Semiconductor demand, hyperscale cloud expansion, and infrastructure constraints have created an environment in which companies supplying power and compute capacity are positioned to benefit. Any developments within NVDA, AMD, or companies involved in cloud infrastructure could influence the sector. Cipher Mining frequently responds to these macro trends, and positive movement across the AI ecosystem has historically contributed to upward pressure on the company's stock. The close at $20.36 represents a strong end to the month of November and sets the tone for the first week of December. Traders will pay close attention to whether the stock maintains strength above $20 when markets reopen. If the stock can build on Friday's momentum, it could establish a base for a longer-term upward trend as the AI infrastructure narrative continues to develop. For a company in the early stages of a major transition, maintaining price levels above key thresholds often influences market psychology and algorithmic participation. As the market prepares for December, Cipher Mining finds itself at a point where multiple forces are converging. There is the contract-driven legitimacy from signing agreements with AWS and Fluidstack. There is the financial validation of Google's expanded backstop. There is the sector-wide momentum coming from continued demand for AI compute. There is the speculative interest sparked by commentary about potential acquisition scenarios. And there is the seasonal timing of end-of-year positioning. All of these elements create a landscape in which Cipher Mining could be setting up for one of its most important trading periods of the year. The December breakout narrative reflects the possibility that the market may finally start pricing in the long-term implications of what the company has constructed over the past year. The hosting agreements are multi-billion-dollar commitments. The facilities under construction are designed to serve some of the largest compute requirements in the industry. The conversations surrounding the company are shifting away from cryptocurrency and toward artificial intelligence. As of Friday's close, the groundwork has been laid for Cipher Mining to enter December with renewed momentum and heightened attention across the market.